Recording? Recording? Alright. Welcome to episode 3 of Saturday Talks NEA. I am Gabriel Santos.
Nice.
I'm Trayvon Crawford.
It's funny how he said his name. All right, I'm Angel, and then we got a guest today.
Hey, I'm Daniel.
Nice.
Danny.
I'm Trey.
Yeah, you guys already know about Trey. It's not a big deal.
We're
no
back
more.
at it again with white vans, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so we got Danny on today. Danny's one of our old friends. We've known for a long time. We haven't seen him in a long time either, so this is going to be a fun episode because we'll talk about other stuff as well as the topics and just really reconnect again because he's been gone for so long. I think it's been like a whole year and a half.
Yeah.
And we'll for sure learn a lot of things from him too.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Ew, why would you do that?
I hope
so. So our first topic today, we're talking about self-education. It's a topic Gabe came up with, which I'm really excited about. So I'm going to let Gabe explain what that means, then we'll go on and answer it.
Yeah.
So, self-education is basically how I interpret it is learning from outside the traditional education system, which is school, like college, private and public school. It's kind of like learning on your own. That's why there's a self in before the education.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
Well, I mean, how I interpreted self-education is like there's a variety of things you could do. Like, for example, Danny here, he's amazing at tinting. I let him tint my car a couple of times, which I appreciate a lot.
So, technically, I'm a window film technician. So it's basically
this
fancy
guy.
term for
This
I
guy.
just
I
tint
hate this
windows.
guy.
I apologize.
But that's not just the only thing I do. I have a couple other things that I have up my sleeve that I also a bunch of hobbies as well that also contributes to the self-education thing.
Nice.
So
So what we'd like you to do is for you to explain, I guess, a little bit about your self-education story, and what do you think your opinion is about going to school and learning on your own?
So it's a lot of things involved into it. Definitely, when you do self-teaching, there's a lot of responsibility that goes into it. Like if you want to make it into a career, for example, if you do end up teaching yourself the wrong ways and the wrong methods, then you do end up really screwing yourself over in the long run. Simply because the whole ideology of this is the only way I know how to do it. This is the way I learned how to do it, and then you get yourself into a habit, and you know how hard it is to break a habit. And when you get into that habit, it gets really, really difficult. Then you end up getting it up, and all that self-learning and all that time and effort. Like if you really think about it, the amount of time, if you were to make like a time into a money aspect, self-teaching is really expensive, and it could get really, really expensive, especially if you have material cost invested into that. So if you have to buy material in order to keep teaching yourself how to keep doing it and get better at it, it can get really expensive. All the time that you have to invest into it, you could have invested into something else. It gets really expensive too. So no, I mean, it's self-teaching. Sure, it could be free, but for so long. You know, you could only prolong it for a really long time. But to go back to your how I started, I basically the first time I actually really started self-teaching myself was just really a lot of research, really basically a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah, YouTube's
is
clutch.
what started it.
Yeah,
So
insane.
the first thing I really self-taught myself was how to drive a 5-speed manual transmission. A manual transmission, basically.
Okay.
And before I actually started, grabbing gears and disappearing, I actually had to do a lot of research, a lot of the do's and don'ts. And that's very important. You want to learn what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
Okay.
Because you learn how to keep the good habits and keep away from the bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially with, the automotive industry, and get really, really expensive really, really quickly. So I have countless and countless hours of just watching videos and tutorials and watching people make really shitty videos. But that's the basic concept. And now I've taught a good bit of people how to drive, and making sure they prolong the life of their automobile so they don't come get really, really expensive.
All from self-education.
All that from self-education. But keep in mind, like I said, it's the responsibility of it. Like, let's just say I taught myself wrong. I didn't teach myself right, you know? And then I go spreading my words and my teachings to somebody else, and then end up screwing them over and screwing myself over. Like, that's thousands of dollars. Like, you can fuck shit up really fucking quickly.
And I guess for your profession too, because like you said it earlier, and I don't know if we said it before here too, but you're in the automobile industry.
Yeah, I guess I'm on that side of the automobile industry that involves a lot of I guess you could say little details and the fun stuff people like to do and like to dump money in the cars, make them look pretty and whatever. But again, that goes back to the material aspect.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I also rap, not like RAP. WRAP is what I do. I rap
Oh,
cars.
what?
Yeah,
hold on. Explain that to
I
us
don't-
because some people may not know,
So,
like me.
There's two. I mean, you know, the fucking English language loves to do all that nonsense where two words can mean two separate things. So there's RAP, which is, you know, rapping like with words, and then there's rapping. WRAP, like a rap sandwich, but it's not a rap sandwich. It's
About wrapping a present.
Like a wrap.
wrapping a car, basically like wrapping presents, but in the car form.
So like
Okay.
a skin.
Kind of like a tortilla.
Like Fortnite.
So basically what I do is I take two-dimensional objects, even with window tinting, it's the same concept as how I explain to people. I take a two-dimensional object and I form it to a three-dimensional shape.
Oh,
Sounds complicated, but
So,
that's...
so you put skins on cars.
Yeah, I guess you could say, no, it's not that, Chief. That's not it, Chief. But basically what I'm doing is I'm changing the color of cars or adding details, studying details that personalize vehicles to the owner, da, 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 da. So that in and of itself can get really, really expensive because a whole roll of vinyl wrapping film that's, you know, top of the line, good, the best you want to use can go up to about $700 to $800 depending on what exactly you want.
So also a real quick question, like, does it, like, depending on how big the car is, does it add to the price of the wrap too?
Yes, for example, I've done about 3 4Runners, newer 4Runners. The bitches are badass, but
Yeah.
they're a pain in the ass. Just because they're flat on the sides doesn't mean they're easy, you know?
Yeah.
And that adds to the cost. And and on top of that, you have to disassemble a good bit of the car, almost as if you were doing
So
paint
wait,
work.
so do you measure out the stuff, right? Then you cut it a certain way too.
Yeah, basically. Like
That's
either
tough.
you
That's tough.
for the
That's
whole
tough.
side. Let's say, for example, you have a side of a car, right? Think about your car in your head. Well, I have to take a roll, literally like a foot roll up.
Yeah.
Unload the full roll up on the side of the car. Have one humongous piece. Cut that
Oh,
piece
yeah, that's
and
what you
have
mean.
magnets holding it, right? And then from there, I have to feel it to know where the doors are, where the
Yeah.
quarter panels are, where the side of the fender is, and it gets real complicated
It's a
really
lot of work,
quickly.
man. It's a
and
lot of
that's
work.
a lot of square footage. Like not square footage, but it's a lot of yards. That's like 4 or 5 yards to do a whole side. And
Oh,
depending
wow.
what it is, like it gets trickier. It's not just like that's just like you'll run about $600 just for a standard color change for gloss, satin, or matte, but it gets expensive. Let's just say you want a flip flop colors like all the cool hot boys do on Instagram. That adds another about $200 to it.
Wow.
But let's just say you want to wrap your car in stainless steel, like
Ooh.
your fridge, like your mama's fridge. Like we
Yeah.
can wrap your whole car in stainless steel.
Can you really?
That adds even more pricing because then you add a lot more intricacy, like the way the film forms, the way it's shaped. Like you know how stainless steel has grains, lines going across it. Well, if you grab it the wrong way, you can rip it.
Oh my.
Have
You
you
know-
ever ripped it?
Yeah, I have
You need
actually.
to order more.
Well, I mean, when I actually had my hands on in the actual vinyl, it was an Avery class, wrapping class, which the classes themselves are like about $1,000, but it's somebody teaching you. It's a 2-day class, and then so it's a 3-day class, but the third day's for the test, like to see if you actually get Avery certified. You don't have to take the test or whatever, but that's when I had my first, where I first met stainless steel and chrome vinyl. And again, that also adds it gets real I say complicated, but it's not really complicated. It's just shit that you learn over time.
Yeah.
But again, like that took me time and time to learn, and I'm not done. I haven't mastered vinyl wrapping. I could get there. It's not difficult, but it's expensive. It takes time and it takes a lot of work to get there. Like I basically mastered window tinting. Like I'm a fucking beast, and I'm only at the age of 21. Like I get told, when I go into a window tint competition about last year, my next window tint competition's coming up, I was the youngest dude there. There was
Nice.
nobody that was younger than me. And my boss tells me all the time, he's like, dude, if I would have found this like back when I was your age, I wouldn't be working.
What's the average age?
Like
That's a good question, Joe.
high 40s.
Oh my.
Really?
No joke.
He was
That's
like, you did
average?
like
Yeah,
like their
so,
sons,
some of
like
the
a
youngest
son.
dudes were like probably in their early 30s, late 30s.
So it's like all older guys.
It's older
Like,
guys.
this-
I'm
this
telling you,
for
I
year
was,
of their life.
and I was 20 at the time. I was the
Did you
youngest
win?
dude.
Wow.
I came third. I came in not well. There was the way they did the ranking was they had first, second, and third.
Yeah.
But then they also had the honorable mentions, and I came. They named off the
First three.
they didn't name off the first three first.
Honorable mentions.
Basically, they kind of named off the seven who were there, and I was in 7th place.
Oh, wow.
Nice, dude.
Seven-
You're
seven-
21
seven-
and they're like
Yeah, and these people, keep in mind, these are people who do it professionally,
All
so
their
they have
lives.
businesses.
Yeah.
They go tint people's cars. You know, when you call them, they're like, "Hey, can you come to my windows?" Like, "Hey, come here." And shit, like, if I'm in 7th place
That's
and I'm
sick.
pretty mediocre, and I thought was I was mediocre, what kind of shit are y'all doing? Think about it. What kind of shit are y'all doing?
Hey, you calling out the automobile industry? Damn.
Think about it. Like, if I'm 7th, I'm 20, and I've been doing this for probably 4 years, and you've been doing this for how long?
30 years.
Like, how? That goes back to the aspect. Most window tinters have taught themselves. There's not really, like, in vinyl wrapping, there is more of a niche to teach people because they want to make money. You can make good money off of it.
Sure.
But in the window tint industry, there's not a lot of people actually providing classes and going and teaching you. Like, you have to learn all that shit yourself. And that goes back to that concept. You have the responsibility to teach yourself correctly. Point blank.
Par.
But I was 7th out of 30 people.
That's actually
30 people
that's
have
actually-
businesses.
That's really
That's
good.
really impressive. Hey, he said he's coming out for all those people that came before him. He said,
Basically.
I'm getting first place.
No, but it's not easy. Like, the stress level. I mean, a lot of that has to do with stress because you're given 15 minutes to do one window.
Wow.
So that's a lot of time,
How
right?
long usually
No,
takes
not
to do
really.
it?
15 minutes
for one window.
For me, a lot of time is 3 hours. That's a lot of
How long
time.
takes
No,
a window?
It takes
Usually.
10 minutes.
I remember you did like
Take
my
about 10
two back
minutes.
windows, and that took
And
a
no
while
stressing?
too,
Yeah.
because you
Huh?
wanted to make sure
No
it was
stress or
good.
anything. Just like.
Well, that like I said, a lot of that has to do with stress. You see 15 minutes and you're thinking, I got it. And you get there, there's 30 other people watching you on top of that.
Yeah.
The head honchos from Matica, which is the company I basically use my film. It's Matica Window Film. A lot of the reps, because there's like different representatives in different parts of the country.
Yeah.
For example, they have the northern, eastern, the southeast,
Yeah.
which is what I'm in. You know, and they'll have those, but they have most of the reps are there. All those people who do window tinting as a business. There's people some people are out of state.
So like, if you like win, you can get hired from like a big company type stuff.
Basically, that just means you're just shit. Basically, and then you get sent to Florida. If you're top 3, you get sent to Florida.
Oh, you
to
almost
compete. Yeah, I was pretty close. My boss came in 4th,
Oh.
and that's because he fucked up. He actually put a little crease in the bottom of the door, and it was completely his fault. But it's one of those things where it's like, man, if he fucked up and he came in 4th place, like,
Yeah, you can't mess
that's
up
pretty
at all.
dope. But that goes back to the stress. Like, when you're in a competition, like, it gets fucking stressful.
Of
Like,
course.
if you're 1v1ing in Modern Warfare 2, and you're on the
That's
last
stress.
kill, that shit gets stressful, huh? You start fucking up. You start doing random shit you don't normally do. Like, oh, I can't. And then your KD ratio goes fucking down. And your aiming stats become ass.
It sounds like a personal experience.
And you're like, bro, this nigga garbage. Then you pull out the pistol because you can't fucking get him, and then you win.
Oh yeah.
Throwback. Yeah,
So-
but it's the same concept.
That makes sense. Okay, so then for you, I guess what's your opinion on going to school and not going to school? Like, what are your pros and cons? Because we talked about it in the first podcast, but I kind of want to get your perspective too. Because, like, for me, like this semester I took a semester off school,
Right,
and I feel like I've learned a lot more than I have going to school.
right.
So, like, I want to kind of hear your opinion about it too, because I know this is like a very controversial topic for a lot of kids our age.
No, for sure.
Especially with the old generation, not older generation,
Yeah, the old
because
heads.
Old heads.
of course,
Old
like
heads.
back in the 20th century,
That was the thing.
that was literally the thing.
Yeah, like,
exactly.
yeah.
Like,
You can go to leave school and go to
nowadays,
college.
like, yeah, like for example, like my mom personally, my mom's like, the only way you can make a lot of money is if you go to school.
Right.
But that may be partially true. But a lot of times, like not even like half the kids who get out of college get a job right away. On top of that,
not anymore.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. On top of that,
Different
there's all
change.
the college expenses,
Right.
Like they had to pay for.
That's funny you say that because I remember when we graduated and people were on Trayvon's ass about going to college and going to school, going
Yeah.
to filming
Oh
school.
my
I remember
God.
they were on your ass about it. But like to go to your question, it's one of those things where it's like you have to do. It's so cheesy, but it's so like legit. You got to do what you kind of want to do. Like once
Yeah.
you turn the age of 18, sure you're still living under mommy and daddy's roof, or you move out. Like once you graduate high school, all of those like every like chance, opportunity, choice you make is completely on and up to you. No one has control beside yourself at that point. So when you say, "Hey, Danny, like, what do you think about school?" You could go from rags to riches, going with not being in school really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for let's just put a timestamp on it. You go to college for 8 years, right? It takes you 8 years to make $100,000 in a year.
Wow.
It's facts.
That's facts.
Maybe
Yeah.
Because that's 8 years of school.
And
So that's 8
competition.
years of you missing out on making money that same day as soon as you get out of high school.
Exactly.
So you're going for a lawyer, right? Law school fucking takes forever.
Law school
On
and,
top of
and
that,
it's
you-
super expensive.
It's fucking
The
stressful.
loans.
People trip themselves out. I was watching somebody talking about going being a lawyer. It's stressful. Like people put more stress on themselves about it and whatever. But that's to my point. All right, you went to school for let's just say 8 years, right? Well, I've been making money for about 8 years, and if I like walk the path correctly, and not end up in a dead end Target job where I'm working just as a manager at Target, and I decide to actually do my own thing and
It's like
do what I
self-employed,
wanna
own your own
do.
business. Is that what you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's just say it takes 3 years for my business to finally take off. Well, you're still in fucking school. All right. So let's put that into perspective. You're in school while I'm making money. All right. Okay. So let's just say at this point, it's been 8 years, right?
Yeah.
I'm making $100K a year for my business. You just got out of law school. Let's just say you get out and you find a job. Well, you're just going to start at the very bottom
Yeah.
because you have no job experience. You're fresh out the lot. Okay, basically. Lawyers, who would you choose? A lawyer who just got out of law school, or someone who's been a lawyer for 30 years to represent you in a case,
Yeah,
right?
experience.
You have to work your way up. So those 8 years turn into another 10 years.
Yeah.
So now you're 18 years deep, right?
10 if you're lucky.
So
10 if you're lucky.
by that time, 18 years, I hope to have my business sold and be living in fucking Fiji,
Yeah.
waiting for this volcano to
Tired.
blow up to take me out of my misery. Like,
Yeah.
And you're still, they got it still like struggling, pretty much.
exactly. And you're
Yeah.
basically living at the bottom of the barrel, having all these different expenses and shit. Sure, you make a shit ton a week, and now you're blowing it on your new apartment, house, your
College
brand new
loans.
car. Because
Loans.
now think about it this way: when you go to college, you're expecting to make good money. Now there comes the stigma of I gotta have a nice house, I gotta have a nice car, I gotta have a beautiful husband, beautiful wife. Like there comes all those stigmas. No joke. Like people will spend so much unnecessary money
Look good.
simply just to look good.
Amen.
And I know one person
Abilities.
who in particular who does that. Like they want the biggest house to look the prettiest house so they can show off that she made it. He or she made it.
Even though they did.
And think about it, like she makes good money, sure, and she blows it on a bunch of stupid shit. She blows it on a bunch of stupid shit.
Yeah.
But what is that? That doesn't prove shit to me. Like
It doesn't.
Just says you can spend
honestly,
money.
does that impress me? Like no, sure you have a big house. Like I don't really like the house, but I mean, sure you got a big house. Like that doesn't mean anything to me. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't mean shit to me.
Does she work a lot though? Does she
Yeah,
work like
you do not believe how much hours she has to work in
so,
order
so
to
then,
keep up
so
her
then,
lifestyle.
She's
so then,
leaving,
what's
just
the
wasting her-
what's the
took
point?
her
What's the
time.
point of buying a house if you're not gonna live in it, right?
That
There's
too.
like
Like
no
stressed out
point.
with working to,
So-
to keep up with the house.
To go back to my analogy, like, what if I don't shoot? You could turn her back around. Like, let's just say in 8 years you're out of college and you find a really fucking good job and you find someone really good to represent you in your cases and you jump on their cases and this and that, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say I end up in a dead end job working at Del Taco. I'm an assistant manager, have my own store and everything. But at this point, I'm making $45,000 a year, and you're making $100,000.
But take out the college debt and the taxes.
I don't have any college debt.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for the person who went to school.
The
Yeah.
100,000, yeah.
Yeah, and that's thousands upon thousands of dollars. Of course, I recently learned in student debt, you can pay $1 a month and still be in debt, but it won't go into collection, which is pretty fucking weird.
Wow, really?
You can pay even with I learned that because of my medical bills. You can
Oh, yeah.
literally, you can
That's
literally,
facts. I
you
do
can
that.
you can literally pay $1 every month for your medical bills. Let's just say you got 5 bills. That's $5 a month, and it never go to collection. It never hit your credit.
But that stress is still there.
Your stress is
You're
still
still
there that you
debt.
still have almost $100,000
Yeah,
in
you're
medical
still
bills
debt,
to
doesn't
pay.
matter.
Student loans, you name it. So when the
Wow.
question comes, do you want to go to college? Do you want to stay and be in the workforce? That's completely up to you. How you go, how you approach it, and how you want to move yourself up to the rank is completely up to you. That's why I said I see all these high school graduates. I'm like, I want to talk to you, so I could guide you in the right direction. Like, hey, I've been in the workforce for almost 3 years now. It's not all fine and dandy. People expect to be in the workforce and be like, bro, it's fucking lit. Like, I could get off of work, hang out with my boys. Like, I'm gonna go to the fucking club, the big titty goth bitch club. Like, bro, it's fucking lit. Fuck no, that's not it. Like, you wake up, you go to work, you go to sleep. There goes the day.
Repeat, yeah.
That's it.
Repeat.
I'm not joking. Like, that's literally the case. And if you don't do that, and if you I've learned sleep is very, very important when you're working, because if not, you're not focused.
Yo, sleep should have been important since high school.
Sleep, no joke. You don't perform as well in work unless you sleep.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
And you know you have to sleep. So that there goes all your time to do whatever you wanted to do because of sleep. And then your schedule gets whacked. Your schedules don't match up, so you can't hang out with your boys. Your girlfriend's schedule is completely out of whack as well. Or because your schedule's out of whack, you gotta wake up at 6 a.m. and be home by 4, but you're tired. You gotta wake up back at 6 a.m. again. So I mean, you don't feel like going out at 8 o'clock and people guys like, hey, you want to go get some dinner? Fuck no.
Yeah.
I'm eating cereal and going to bed.
Seriously.
My brother, for example, he wakes up at like 6 a.m. but comes home at 4 o'clock. Like, that's fucking dope. That's fucking lit. But he's tired and he wants to go to bed. That's it. You know?
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's, you know, it's one of those things. But you got to learn how to, like, there goes back to self-education. You got to self-educate yourself in what you want to do and what exactly you're aiming for.
Okay.
Because
I
if
like
you don't,
that. Yeah.
what the fuck are you doing? And I've seen a lot of people, sadly, just going to dead-end jobs. Dead-end jobs are not the move.
But
Nope.
I feel like you know, I both have a huge risk, but I feel like coming out of college and going straight to work, like I feel like you have to have someone guide you to do the right thing because it's very hard to do it solo, you know?
Oh, fucking tremendously. Like,
It's very
absolutely
difficult to do it
absurd.
solo.
Yeah, but I mean, most colleges also do have like mentors for them, and like you could. But that's what college is mostly for. It's like networking.
Yeah, but I wasn't talking about college. I'm talking about like if you go and do what like, you know, what Danny did, you know? Like go
Yeah.
out and just go straight to work. I'm saying it's like very difficult to do something like that because
It's rare
Yeah.
for a person like
To make and yeah,
know what
exactly.
they're doing.
So I have a question for you, Danny. Would you rather like do something you love to do or okay? So I heard this question. Let me repeat it again. It's like would you rather live the way you want? Would you rather live the way you want to live or do something you love to do? Right. So what I mean by that is like, would you rather do something? Would you rather have it like? Would you rather have the lifestyle you want or do something you love to do? That
I'd
make
rather be
sense?
something I love to do. I'd rather live in a 1-bedroom house and live the way and love my life than live in a 10-bedroom house and not be happy at all.
Okay.
That's gonna be fucking annoying to climb up 10 flights of stairs just to go to sleep. Like, fuck no, that sounds fucking boring.
So let's just say like, so what is your ideal lifestyle then? Like what are your goals and aspirations and dreams? Like what that's what I mean by lifestyle. Like what is it that you want out of life?
Next question. I don't fucking know, dude.
You never thought about it before?
Not really, like not to that extent. I don't really like to look too much in the future because things change so much, so drastically that you set yourself a goal and a dream, sure, but in 5 years, do you really think that's gonna stay the same?
I think it all depends on your discipline.
That too.
Mindset.
Like, let's just say you like this one T-shirt, right? Fucking your favorite T-shirt. 5 years from now, you really think it's gonna be your favorite T-shirt?
But I think that's a bad example though to compare to dream though.
I mean, to me, like I tend to think it's dreams as fashion. Sometimes
Like
if-
materialistic things.
I tend to like for the most part, sure, like you could look at it that way, because I mean, they go out of fashion. You want to be a firefighter when you were 10 years old, and you don't want to be a firefighter no more.
So I guess for me, like for example, one of my dreams is to retire my parents.
Oh, that's a completely type of different dream.
But that's what I mean by dreams. Like what are
Okay.
your
Because like it could be
Okay.
also
what is it?
emotional dream
Right.
too.
like for me, like I'm gonna tell you my top.
That's a
three.
realistic dream, though.
I'm telling you my top 3 dreams. My first dream is to retire my parents.
Right,
My second one is to pay off my brother and sister's college if they pursue college.
right.
And my third one is to retire myself.
Okay.
Like those are my top 3 goals right now.
See,
And
look at the word you just said. You said goals.
and dreams. I guess I mean I kind of put them together.
When people think of dreams, I think of such an abstract kind of.
So like my
ordeal.
like for example, like it's like for my dream, one of my dreams is I want to buy a beachfront house.
That's such a terrible investment, but okay.
But
It's all fun and games until a fucking tsunami comes in. Douche.
but that's what I want because I love the ocean. Like I grew up near
right,
the ocean. You know what
I
I'm
see
saying?
what you're saying.
So but that's what I'm saying. But like for me, I know I'm gonna be able to get that because I'm speaking out into existence. I'm saying, you know,
Right,
so like
right.
that's one of my dreams. You know, another one of my dreams too is just to be financially free.
Well,
So
At that
does,
point-
does that like is that too out of fashion for you because
no. No, but like back to what I was trying to say. When you say dream, I think of something that you can't really go for. You just wish one day it'll happen, and maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. Oh well, it's just a dream you had in your head, you know. But when you,
Well, I think a dream completely different.
See,
way.
me,
Yeah.
Trey and I think. Trey, I'm pretty sure Trey and I had the same definition of a
Yeah,
dream.
Same here,
Right.
because like what you kind of explain is kind of like fantasy rather than
I
dream.
know, I, know
Right.
I get what you mean.
No,
I think of
I understand what you
I
mean
think of
too.
fantasy,
But for,
you know?
Yeah.
like at one point, I wish I dreamed of being a soccer player. Like, let's be
Yeah, I
real.
see what you mean.
Let's be real. Like how
Unrealistic
often
dreams.
exactly. That's but when you put it into a different wording and say goal, it's a lot easier to reach a goal than a dream.
I don't know.
I have a goal to lose 10 pounds in a month. How easy is that goal?
But I
But,
guess what we're trying to say is what is your long term goal? Like,
Long term goal is
In
better.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
See,
there you
see,
go.
that's where the conflict goes. Like, our two
So-
definitions of dreams and goals are. I mean,
So
our
for me,
definitions of dreams are different.
I flip flop them a lot.
Yeah.
I just think they're two the same things. But
Right.
I
Yeah,
feel like dream is like a long term goal.
a long term goal.
and then
right.
and then that's why I think a dream. Then and then for me, like a goal is like something short term
Right.
that leads up to my dream.
Yeah.
Right.
So then let's rephrase it. Then what are some long term goals of yours? Like what are your top 3 goals?
Definitely to at least own a house by the age of 25.
Okay.
That's a major thing that takes out of a lot of people's paychecks is mortgages.
Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
For example, I know one of my coworkers who's completely paid off his house and he's balling. He lives in a really tiny house out in Carrollton and he's balling. Like, so that's one of my goals.
So like
is
what
to
kind
own a house
what
by
kind of
25.
house? Like a small house, like a big house?
Honestly, like any type of house, as long as it's not too close to the city, simply because
Comfortable.
you can. Comfortable is one of them.
overpriced.
Overpopulation is definitely a thing, and being overpriced is definitely a thing. But not only that, you could buy a really shitty house and own the land. The land's going to cost more than the house, but you could build the house.
That's true.
Oh.
So if I pay off the shitty house that I've been living in for almost 10 years, dope. I could build it out now. All of that mortgage money goes to building the house and making it beautiful, and making it to what I want it to be.
Man, for me, if I want to buy a house, I'm paying it all out in cash. That's just me.
That's what I want to do too.
Yeah.
That's just me.
That's
I don't.
That'd be some cool shit.
I'd rather not just pay off a
Fuck
mortgage.
the 10 years.
Yeah, that's
what
but
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. But those are like dreams that I have, which
Right.
like for me, with the way I guess my mindset is, like I know I'm gonna make that happen.
Right.
You know, because hearing you say pay a mortgage in 10 years like hurt my heart a little bit. I was like,
It's true.
You know,
it's
'cause
true.
my-
But
'cause my
that's
mom
that's a very short mortgage, though. That's a very
10
very
years
Because-
is a
short
very
mortgage.
short mortgage.
Yeah, because like for example, my parents are doing the 30 years,
30
which
years.
is
That's
like
more like
that's
it.
more
Yeah,
Oh, that
average.
hurts my soul.
That's what I'm saying.
30
So
years, dude.
so-
Think about it. 30 years from now, I'll be 50.
yeah, so my
50.
yeah, my mom and dad
Same.
they paid off our mortgage to our house,
Right.
so we own the house now, but still like that took 14 years, 15 years. You know, I don't want
And they
that.
did a good job on paying it off.
I don't want that expense. You know.
And
It's
keep in
expensive.
consideration, there's still like tax on property tax,
That
and there's like
too.
multiple taxes.
So for me, like I don't like
interest.
I'd rather pay off like my house and just
Yeah.
cash.
Straight up.
But see, that's why I would own it. It's better. I'd prefer to own it than anything else. Sure, like I said, you can live in a shitty house, but fucking oh well. Like it is what it is. I'm not a huge advocate of I gotta live fancy.
Yeah, which most people aren't. Which is
Yeah.
like for example, me. I wouldn't want to live in a, Gucci Mane.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Mansion or
Climbing 10
something.
flights of stairs sounds boring.
I mean,
Fuck no.
I feel like
climb if you have an elevator.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I
Right.
fuck
But
with that.
There
I
you-
fuck with that.
There you go.
I like how
but
you
I feel like for me, like I would want a house like that.
Mhm.
Not just to show off, but just for me, like because I work my
I
ass
want a
off.
house like that. Yeah, to that. And then I want like a house that I have a lot of people in too.
Right.
Not just yourself.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
I guess that's another one of my dreams too. Like I always told my mom I was gonna buy her a mansion when I was 7, and I'm gonna buy her a mansion
That's
regardless.
that's
you
the
know.
move.
So like
That's a move for a lot of us.
That's another big dream that I'm gonna make happen.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I feel like
Shows your hard work too. But
that and I feel like a lot of times when we say like we just want a comfortable house, I feel like we're limiting ourselves by saying that
for sure.
because we're putting in our head that we just want a small house, but when in reality we deserve so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of adults that I've been talking to recently, because I work a lot of around adults, they don't say they want to own one house. They want to own multiple properties and rent out those properties.
Which is
So real estate.
An idea.
So real estate,
It's real estate.
but I feel like real estate you need a whole bunch
you
of
need
cash.
you need a bunch of capital.
You need a whole bunch of cash. That's what you need.
not even. You don't even need
Not
like
even.
cash.
You just gotta find a
Not-
way to receive cash. Because I was just reading this the other day on Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like you don't always have to carry like you got first
You don't
know
have cash.
real estate, understand
You
it.
can start real estate with $3,000.
You
Yeah.
could.
It's So $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
Good credit.
Yeah,
good
yeah,
credit.
that's
That's
what
what-
credit. Credit's really important as well. Like even if you're not going to school, credit is very important. It does mandate a lot of things.
You can get a mortgage. Let someone else live in it.
Yeah.
So they pay rent that pays the mortgage.
I mean, look, a good bit of my buddies are already in the 700 club.
Wow.
That's
Really?
awesome.
No joke.
Okay.
My buddy Steven, that's 21. My buddy Sean, who's 20, and my buddy Jared, who literally graduated last year in I think the high sixes, close to 700.
That's impressive. I need to get my credit up.
Yeah.
My credit
little
is 600.
a nice little
My
tip,
credit is
a nice
zero.
little tip in order to boost your credit score really really easy is having a cosigner, someone who has really really high credit that's like really really high in the
Put
700s,
your name on it.
and put your name on it.
That as I did with my car with my grandfather. My grandfather was like really.
I don't know. I have good
really
credit, but I just pay bill. I never had a credit card ever.
Yeah.
And I have 600.
Yeah, but yeah, sure, you might have 700. Like it's one of those things where we talk about it all the time. Like, yeah, sure, we have. He run the 700 club. I'm not in the 700 club, but we're in the 700 club. But it's all about credit history too. You had to buy a car, this and that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what my buddy Jared, who literally graduated last year, he was like, "Fuck no, I hate debt. I don't want to deal with debt. I don't like debt."
That's facts.
And then I'm like, "How you can't move." You can't, like in a chess game, you can't move at all if you're afraid of debt.
Yeah.
You got to build credit with debt,
That's
point
true.
blank. That's plain and simple. You gotta dish out to get back.
Yeah.
And he hasn't realized that yet, but he will eventually.
Kind of
And
reminds me of that saying, like, you gotta spend money to make money.
you
in a
have to
way.
spend money to make money. And that's point blank. Like it's easy.
That's very true.
That's,
But I think that's a pretty good portion for our first section, even though like we didn't really talk about this self-education question. But
I mean, we can go back to self-education. Self-education is fucking important. Like
I mean,
paying somebody to teach you certain things is cool and all right. Like
It's
for
different, yeah.
for example, that Avery class that I went to, that Avery rapping class. If you were to ask me, like, "Hey, Danny, would you pay $1,000 to take that class again?" I'd basically be like, "No," simply because you can't really teach that kind of skill in 3 days.
Yeah.
you paid
there's no
$1,000
way.
for that class. Wow.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like there's a lot he tried to squeeze in there in 3 days. He's a very good teacher. Like he even gives you access to his website, and he has literally almost thousands upon thousands of videos and how to teach you and stuff like that, which is great. Like you could teach yourself. That's a part of self-learning. Like he's also giving you the knowledge in the book of, hey, how to do this. He's one of the best rappers in the world. But
Who,
it-
Drake?
It's
no.
funny when he say that because that's the first thing I think of. Not Drake, but like when I think of like best rapper.
That's all I heard.
But yeah, I like that though, Danny. Like for me too, I guess for self-education is super important too.
It's fucking
Like I've
amazingly
learned
important.
a lot more through editing from self-education than I have from
Not even your editing,
I
even
learned
your
a lot more
working
from
out.
self-education than anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing with me. Like this semester I took off school, I feel like I've learned way more than I have in class.
For example, your calisthenics is a very good example, simply because you taught yourself how to do the workouts right.
That's true.
How many times have you looked at a video to learn a new workout to just learn how to do it right,
That's true.
so you don't wake up the next morning with a sprained ankle?
That's facts.
Like
That's true.
you can't do I dare anybody who hasn't done any calisthenics to do a muscle up in a month.
I did it.
Fucking Trayvon. Fucking Trayvon. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
I know what you mean.
it's
but,
just one of those things. But same thing with your editing. Like there's so many little tips and tricks in an editing software. There's no way you can learn all that in a short time span. Like you have to be on it 24/7 and be willing to not even just edit, but
Okay,
going and taking
Trey,
out
we got
video.
it. Trey's an exception. Trey's like
Trey's a fucking
Trey-
god.
Trey- Trey's
So,
a-
yeah.
Trey's a god.
Trey's an exception for two reasons. His work ethic is insane, and anytime he stumbles into anything that causes him a problem, he finds a new strategy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy how crazy it is. It's not even his intelligence. Like don't get me wrong, Trey's smart as fuck, but like his work ethic's insane.
Nah, when
on that shit.
I remember back when we were in high school, dude, when he was doing